Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. My buddy Rhett, and I got an almond for her, which I believe, I don't know, it's either almonds or pistachios are her favorite nut. So I'm hoping to finish up unit tests today. I have 8 lines of code that are 8 statements, 8 lines, 2 branches, and 2 functions that are untested at this moment. I believe they're all in animations, if I remember correctly. So we'll click this and then click that. Oh, wait, maybe not. Component viz. That's weird. Okay, let's let this thing run and see if component viz is still sane. It's like I want to get super critical of this thing right now, going, yesterday I was getting 100% and this is the problem, blah, 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 blah. But I will say that I am like deeply, like with the latest Angular, when I'm creating new things, it's not using Carmen Jasmine. And I do not like the new VITE unit testing scheme. I mean, it may get better. I might like it in the future. Definitely would not be the first time I didn't like something when it first came out, and then later on I liked it. But at this point, I feel like they've just gone down the wrong path. I think they're kind of like I guess a JavaScript first mentality, and I'm really more of a browser first. Like, I don't really care if it's correct JavaScript but doesn't work in the browser, and I definitely, like, if it's the JavaScript's perfectly fine but it doesn't work in the browser, then it's bad JavaScript. And then on the other side, if it's bad JavaScript but it works in the browser and that's the only way to get it to work in the browser, well, then that's what I want to do. So I'm really more of a browser first type of person. Honestly, I don't think JavaScript would really probably even be a thing if it wasn't for the browser. But it definitely, if it was removed from the browser, it would probably still be around in the future because its Node is awesome too. But for me, it's all about the browser. All right, so we are talking about this one little section of code here. And there's kind of like 2 things I will typically do. And the thing is while you're coding, this is how you would typically code something like this. But then all of this really has a really good chance of leading to a what do I try to say? This has a good chance of leading to there's no problems with this code as it is right now, but it has a good chance of leading to bad things. Once you start seeing these branches and you see these loops with these sort of what are they called? Functions without names. Once you start seeing that kind of thing, then it's pretty easy to start just adding little conditionals and stuff in this, and it just turns into spaghetti code very, very quickly. So this is the time that I kind of like to just sort of pull out or kind of really obsess on things at a line level instead of sort of how it all fits together, but more like down on the microscope level. So there's probably 2 things I want to do. First thing I want to do is I probably just want to pull all this logic into a function, and then the function will return a list of the animations. I think what we're trying to do here is, and that's the thing, is we're not even it's not very clear even what this code does. But if I make this get animation listing for IDs, get ST animations for a given ID, is that what this thing's doing? Because this gets the animation, then it checks to see if it got an animation, then it pushes it if it does. So get ST animation for IDs. for IDs. Okay, so this whole thing takes a list of IDs, iterates over them, and then returns, and then sets this thing. I'd rather it return it. And I will also want to make clear something very clear that your what was I going to say? Oh, you can't always do that. Sometimes you actually have code where you just can't come up with a nice, clean function name that describes everything it did. And that does happen when you start like adding additional like sort of logic and stuff inside of these branches. So that's, I guess, what I'm trying. I'm kind of thinking out loud, but I think that's what I'm trying to avoid. So sleepy this morning. I don't really know why. I feel like I got plenty of sleep last night. But man, it's been a weekend though, because on Friday night my boss put on an amazing party. Went to the party in downtown Atlanta. Got to be on the rooftop at an amazing skyline sky view thing. The food was fantastic. The music was amazing. My coworkers, I got to really bond with a lot of my coworkers. It was just a really, really good experience. And then yesterday, my younger son, he has a band now, and his band had played their first gig, and that was fun. And we actually got some really good friends to come out with us, so that was fun. And then one of my really good friends, he's like a very brilliant like trader, like he trades stocks and stuff like that. So it was so fun talking to him, and we were talking about software and stuff like that, and because he has some sort of cloud company that he's, I guess, a partial owner of, but it's like a $1 billion company. I don't think, I mean, he's very wealthy, but not that wealthy. He's not like a billionaire or anything like that, but it's just really, so that was fun. And then we had like my wife's employees came with us, and several of her employees, and they had a great time. And then we kind of took them in our minivan there, and then when we got there, they stayed with my elder son, who's the attorney, and and they all went bowling and had just a great time. And so our employees just kind of stayed behind, and then we came back and just had a great night watching Netflix, and then went to bed. And then here I am, and I'm having a fantastic time. I'm supposed to play Frisbee at 1:30 today, so Ultimate Frisbee, so I'll be running like crazy. All right, so we are going to have our ST animations. So basically we're doing this exact same thing. So I'm going to copy this here. Bing, y'all. And I'm going to take this code as is, because I believe that's ST animation IDs. So that'll be good. So I'm going to copy this, and theoretically it should just work. And it did. And line by line, I don't think there's anything particularly mysterious going on. So that's, to me, a very good sign. There we go. Boom. Is that? Oh, that is on line 103. Yeah, let's do that. And that ends the for loop. And I guess for this it would be easier to just do it like that. And so this pushes to that, to the ST animations, and so we can just return our ST animations. Not IDs, animations. There we go. And you typically, I used to work on a linter that required you to put a line in between the variable name and then the first thing, so you'd have all your variables, and it required you to put a line there. And I like that. That worked out pretty well. So there's that. So that is nice. So it seems like I should be able to then, instead of kind of setting it in place, I can just say like st where are you, st animations is equal to this dot get animations for IDs, and then we're giving it the animation IDs. Okay, is that the right? It's returning st animation. Yeah. Oh, that is fantastic. All right, that makes sense. So it was constant, so it wouldn't let me overwrite it. It would let me add and remove things from it, but it won't let me just create a whole new function. I mean, a whole new array. Okay, so let's go ahead and comment this out for now. I don't know if it'll make a difference. We'll probably have one more function that's uncovered. Well, I don't know though, because this is yeah, probably one more function. So we'll probably go to 6 out of 8 functions covered. I don't think we added lines of code. We might have statements, but right now there's 39 statements and 6 uncovered statements. So let's see where we're at after this. I don't think it must not have. I don't think it ran. This is the point where I'd usually go on some sort of rant about like I can't tell when it's running. Okay, so that changed. So I feel like we actually are doing better now. We still only have 3 lines, we have 1 branch that's not covered, and we have 1 function. I thought we had 2 functions before. So that's good. Now let's just make sure stuff works. Reload. Reload. Okay, so that's good. It comes up. Boom, boom. We have animations. If we change the view, okay, the animation's still working. I really thought it would work, but you kind of have to try it out. All right, so now we're down here. So there's another sort of, let me go ahead and remove this code now. And that's good. I don't know why we're getting in there, but I'm happy about that. And now we will I so want to like just turn all this into its own function, everything from here to here. And have that function, because literally all that function needs to do is does this need the mesh service? I think the mesh, where does the mesh service become a thing? It's saying if mesh service. Oh, okay, right here, this is how it gets its list of mesh IDs. Okay, so this logic will only run if the mesh service exists, and I think that's only a problem in unit tests. This mesh service being undefined. We do have some unit tests that's an issue. But we could have another function that literally just takes that mesh ID and grabs the mesh service and then returns the ST animations. I don't know that does. I mean, it could make it a little easier for unit testing and stuff, but anyways, we're probably not going to worry about that now. We may come back to it, but I do think every line is very clear. I think it's very clear that we're checking to see if mesh service is undefined. We're getting, we're using the mesh service that we got to get the mesh ID, to get the actual whole mesh actually. And then if there was a mesh, then we're getting, so almost all of this branching is there literally, I think, just for unit testing. But anyways, so now we want to take this, and this is the word I was struggling with a second ago was an anonymous function. So from here to here is a function that doesn't have a name. So if something were to break in there, it can't really give you a name because it's an anonymous function. But it would be. That's one problem. The other problem is it's what am I trying to say? The other problem is it's like writing code to go through, iterate over these is a little trickier for unit testing. But if you just make it a function, call in a function with an animation ID is not very, very difficult. So pulling that into its own function makes life a lot easier. And it doesn't look to me like it needs to be bound to the current this, but it doesn't need to be from dictionary, but it doesn't need any access to any to this animation. It doesn't need any access to any of this other stuff around it. Any of the other, it's like, I don't know if there's a good word for this, but I would think this is a closure. So if it needed access to the animations, and it doesn't, because it gets the animation ID and then it goes and gets this. Yeah, so it needs to be bound, but I don't think it needs that, because it returns okay, so it pushes this. So that is kind of a bummer, because actually I think it does need, does it? ST animations. Yeah, it needs access to the ST animations. So actually we do need to bind it and pass it another function. So I was sort of, if you watch all the time and you pay attention, which I wouldn't blame you, because if I were to watch, I do watch all my videos, but I don't really pay close attention. I just sort of like, I mostly do it so that I can sort of get my vocabulary a little bit more solid. Vocabulary is just such an important part of being a computer programmer. But anyway, so I want to create a function, and the name of, and what this function is going to do is it is actually going to I guess it's going to get an animation for a given ID. Now it's going to populate an animation for a given ID. So basically I'm going to pass a reference to this animations in there, and then this is going to push a value onto that reference, and then it's going to be set when it comes back. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to populate ST animations. Yeah, I don't think I want to do it that way though. Okay, so what else can I do? So what I'm doing is I'm iterating over each animation, right? And then ID, and then I'm setting a value in there, and that's, we could also do a filter, and the filter would just give me, okay, actually no, I guess what I'm actually trying to do is do a map. Wow, I've never really thought about this. So let's kind of rewrite this as, so okay, first of all, let's just see what happens if I get rid of this. I don't know even what happens. So let's say I just always return a blank set of animations for ID. I just want to see what breaks. Yeah, so that's what I thought. I thought if we got rid of this, but you know, sometimes you think that and then you're wrong. It's actually doing some other thing. And then you try to fix things, and then you go to check it, and it's broken. Or something else is broken because you were testing the wrong thing. So we know that when we do this, that the animation breaks completely, quits working. And I would say, like, if we were right at the end of this project, like this project does everything we wanted, we were just finishing, I would not worry about this. But since we were right at the beginning of this project, it's got to be, we have got to get this foundation right, because we're like, all of this code is probably going to start getting more and more complex, and we don't want to just start burying logic inside of these structures. Okay, so instead of that, instead of this, we want to do a mapping. So we want to map all of our IDs to it. But I guess what we want to do, and now see, it's getting a little convoluted. What we want to do is we actually only want to filter out and only have IDs that are undefined. I mean, that are defined, show up in our animations. So that's like a two thing. First, we want to filter out anything that doesn't have an animation. So I think we can say, I think we have to turn this. I think what we want to do, because I'm really, more than anything else, I'm just thinking, in the future, I'm going to need to sit down and read this code. I'm going to need to understand what's going on. I'm pretty sure. So I want to write it in such a way that maybe is not the most efficient way to do it, but the easiest to read and understand. So I'm optimizing for maintenance at this point. So const filtered and IDs st, and then this is going to be a number. So this is going to be all the numbers that are there. So then we're going to take our st animation IDs and we're going to filter it. And we're going to pass it an anonymous function. And I just literally only said that because I just want to be really comfortable with those words. So this is our anonymous function. And this is going to take an st ID, st animation ID. And then it's either going to return a true or a false. And it's going to return a true if this right here is not undefined. So oh yeah, the other day I was like, does undefined come back as truthy or falsy? It must come back as truthy, or that code's not doing anything. I mean falsy. And I guess what we really want to do is actually now. A lot of times people will do this. I don't like to do this. Let found animation. It's false. So, but we're going to default to false, and then if it's not equal, to undefined, then we're going to say that found st animation is equal to true. And then we are going to return found animation. All right, so now we know that all the animations that were filtered were I mean that only all the ones that we're having exist. So that's all we're doing, just kind of make sure everything still works. Look at our console, just make sure there's nothing broken in there. It's a good time for things to get broken. Would be even fun to say console log filtered ST animation IDs. So I find that for each is by far the easiest coding scheme, the tool in like while you're coding. But it's, I think, one of the most dangerous ones with where you're going to have a desire to just sort of add code and filtered animation IDs. No, it's not this. It's filtered. All right, so hopefully it should be one in there, I think. Slow. Be slow. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so it finds this over and over and over again, and it runs. So this is clearly happening inside of the request animation frame. Just just an observation. But that's good. We see that this works, and now we're going to do a map. So what map does is it'll take one array and map it into a different array. So const. And then, so we need to make this a let as well. And really, we can just say, we can actually make it a const. And just, all we have to do is flop it around and not default it. And anytime I can use a const, I will. Mostly just because it's so nice to know, okay, I did not make any changes here. I mean, never gets changed afterwards. I find it to be extremely helpful. So filter animation IDs dot map. And what this does is it takes it and transforms your one kind of array of somethings to another kind of array of something else's. I used to get so mad at one of my jobs that I had where they would Control Z, kind of try to stay consistent with, where like if you called something from a form and you were like an array, a function from a form, they would come by and they would say, look how it gets called thousands and thousands of times, and they would be like, don't call a function from inside your template. But it's just like this exact same thing's happening if you use just like interpolation. There's just no place to put a console log, but it's the exact same thing. You know, the browser is constantly looking for updates. That's how it works. Like it tries to do it like 60 times a second. Anyway, so we're going to try to map this thing, and this thing accepts an ID. ST animation ID, and that's a number. So it takes that number and then it goes and it gets and it should return this. Now, is this less efficient? Oh, for sure. For sure. Now, is it actually less efficient? I wonder, it's probably saying because that could be an undefined. Okay, so we know from our guard that this is going to be, okay, so let's try this const. st animation, which is of type st animation. Like we know it exists because we've already filtered it out, so we can actually just say as st animation. So that's our way of saying, hey man, this has to be an st animation. Now it's kind of weird because, oh, we're not returning. Return st animation. Yeah. So like if I don't force it to be an st animation, let's try this. But the only reason we can be sure that it's st animation is because we actually did a guard before it, right? Or we did a function. These are only filtered IDs. We know that they exist because that's all this did, right? It just made sure that when you call that, you get an animation. And like I said, it is less efficient for sure. There's no question about like the efficiency of calling this and going through the memory twice. Now, does it now behind the scenes when they transpile it, does Angular figure out that, oh my gosh, you're doing this same thing, and do they optimize it? Maybe, maybe not. In the JavaScript engine, it definitely, I strongly believe, I would give a 99.9% belief bet that it can actually return values. I mean, that it would actually optimize this. It might run it once or twice, and then it would just notice, oh, okay, yeah, no, this is always the same thing. But for me as a coder, it's so much easier for me to understand what's going on. So now we know that it should just work. Okay, and it does. And we know that if it didn't, it would just sit there. So like if I just comment this out, and we add when the animation goes, it loses the animation. Now it's weird. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it can't because it can't compile because that. So if I do this, so it just sits there. And the full implications of what all that means is beyond me at the moment. I mean, I just don't know. I don't care. But because that's not what I'm doing right now. Right now I'm trying to break this down into smaller pieces. All right, so where are we on code coverage now? Did it run? That's the question. So it didn't run because we still have our for each. We got rid of our for each. Like I said, I don't really understand why it runs sometimes, why it doesn't. It annoys the heck out of me, but you just don't know how good you got it till it's gone. And now I don't really have this for my other projects. Although I think my other projects are moving a lot faster because I don't have this. All right. So we added a function, we did not add coverage to it, and we add like 4 lines of code. And that's because we do this we broke this one for each loop into a filter and a map note function. All right, so now we want to take this function here, and we want to turn this into a no longer, we want it to be I don't know what the opposite of anonymous is, a known function name, a registered function, I don't know, a defined function, as opposed to an anonymous function, a named function, I guess is how you gotta do it. And so the name of this function will be filter undefined animations. And this thing will accept a ST animation IDs. And that's going to be in number array. And it's going to return a number array. And again, we probably couldn't even test this in actual, like it'd be really hard to test this in the actual code, but you could test it pretty easily in unit tests. So we're going to take so basically all we're going to do is we're going to take this whole function, basically we're just going to do this. Oh, it actually takes an animation ID, not animation IDs. And it returns a true, and it returns, I believe it returns a Boolean actually. Yeah, see, we're returning a true or a false. So then, and I was even in the wrong, the whole wrong, like I was looking at the wrong segment of code there. Right. So we want to do this, but, and it shouldn't be a problem, like to save it because we're not using it. But now we want to take this whole thing and we want to call it. So we want to say this dot filter undefined animate this dot filter undefined animations, right? So we're going to call this, but it's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because it doesn't have a this there. The context is lost. I would have thought we would even had, we have a, like it doesn't know what an animation dictionary is on line 108. So because it doesn't know what this is, so we can easily, that one's easy to fix because there's a function in JavaScript called bind, and bind will return the function, but it will update the context. So basically now this passes through to this function, and that's all that does. So hopefully that works. Okay, so that works. All right, now that's one. And we have our filtered animations, and now we want to say map. This is our map function. So we're going to say map. I don't usually name it map. I don't know why I don't name it map. It seems like the right name. Map. Oh, this is undefined. ST animations. So the reason I'm like so careful with this sort of naming, making sure I get all the names right and stuff, is because later on I'll likely be stepping through this code to try to figure out why something is broken. And I won't necessarily know I'm in the animation service as I'm stepping through. So seeing that I'm filtering undefined ST animations will make it a little bit easier on me in that the future version of me that's going to be, I won't need that version of me won't need as much cognitive load to understand what's going on. I already know that, okay, I'm on the ST side, that's my side. I mean, and honestly, like animations there doesn't really have a 3-side really. It does, but it's very, very minimal. But still, even that factoid where it's like, this is obviously ST side because animations are only ST fact, not having to like having that spoon fed to me instead at the time, instead of having to go through that step, makes my brain function a little faster and better. So anyways, we want to map, this is a mapping function, so we want to map st animation let's see, I don't think that's animations, right? This is animation filter undefined st animation. It only accepts one, it doesn't accept a whole bunch of them. And this also takes an st animation ID, which is still a number, and this returns an st animation, which is a whole animation. And so our st animation, so it's this function right here, right? And that was called, so basically this. It does that. And so instead of this, we want to say this. And I think it also needs to be bound, but I'm not sure. I'm 99% sure actually. This dot map. And you don't call it. You actually just give it. And it calls it. And I don't think this breaks anything, it just won't work. So I don't think we, well, yeah, we do get this, yeah, this, because it doesn't know how to do that. Over here, it just doesn't know what this is. This gets lost when you do it this way. Now, there's other ways to do it so that you don't lose it. But the one thing that really makes this nice is the fact that now these are very, very easy to unit test. That's really what it all comes down to. So anyway, so now we're doing it's not working, and we want to bind it. And we just did that a second ago. All we have to do is say bind. And this. Sometimes you need access to like a closures in here, so you need access to something that's within the calling function, and when that happens, then it's a little bit more complicated. It's definitely a little bit more complicated to code. It's definitely a lot more complicated to understand. But now we're back. All right, so what do we... So I think our lines of code will increase. Right now we have 46 lines of code. I would guess we'll jump up to like 48 lines of code. I think we added 2 more functions, so maybe we have 11 functions. And then that's my son. He'll call my wife right after this. But if he calls back in a second, I'll answer. I can't even remember what we just did. Let's see, where are we at down here though? Or did it even run? Does not look like it ran. Because I don't think we have. Yeah, we were, yeah, so we don't even know because it didn't run.
Hello.
So let's reload this. Reloading. Let's go reload. Let's go. All right, so 46 lines, 9 functions. Oh, we're still at 46 and 9. So we got filter and map. We have our 2. How did we not increase the number of functions? So we just literally, oh, because they were anonymous functions before, now they're named functions. All right, so now, like this one is dirt easy to test, right? Because we just have to, well, actually both of them are going to be the same, because in both cases we do have to set the dictionary. And since we bind it, I wonder, Yeah, I don't know, because I almost feel like we should, maybe we should pass in the ST animation, and instead of this, use the ST animation that we pass in. And that might be easier. That'd probably be a lot easier actually to unit test, because, but binding, we just have to be a little bit trickier with our binding, but let's try that. I want to try that actually. All right, so my son did not call right back, so it's probably not any kind of emergency. All right, so we want to actually pass in the this.get. So this is the current ST animation service. Oh, I guess I should be able to. Oh, you know what? Maybe in the unit tests I can bind, but pass in the the service instead of. Yeah, I should be able to do that. Yeah, that would actually be kind of weird. Like, so I bind it and then I pass in the this as an argument as well. Yeah, that's probably a mistake. All right, so now we want to call map animations, because I think it will be a little bit easier. So we do want to add an animation. Oh, now that's my wife calling. All right, I don't know. I'll mute if it gets weird. Hey, babe, I'm on my show. What's going on?
Okay, no frisbee. Do you still want me to go to Publix?
Oh, I guess not. Okay, it got canceled, huh?
Yeah.
Bummer. All right, love you. See you in a bit.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
So no frisbee today. Let's see. They do not have numbers today. Dang it. It's kind of sad because we did have. Apparently, there was a black bear in our actual neighborhood, and we live in a pretty urban kind of area, so that's funny. All right, so now we want to. Okay, we want to map it. I'm just going to say maps. Maps. And ST animation. I really want to get to 100% today so I can start end-to-end testing tomorrow. Is all this testing good? I think end-to-end testing is in a modern software, like, your chances of, if you have really good end-to-end testing, I think your chances of having a successful project goes way up. Okay, so I think delete result is always true, right? Let's take care of that real quick. To be true. To equal true. Now, this will not always be the case, I don't think. And I misspelled expect. It's kind of funny because I only noticed that I misspelled expect. It's so weird how expect is like underlined, but to equal is not. No. I'm just going to change this to expect 1 to equal 1. I guess I shouldn't have 1, 2 equal 1. Oh my gosh. 1. All right. Let's see. I just don't want the unit test to fail, but. Man, if I had known I would probably already have my run in for today. So I would love to. I definitely want to get my run in before we go do stuff. All right, so we want to basically we want to do the service, and I think does service have like an add, or maybe we can let's see, get map, delete, get, create animation. Okay, so yeah, we can create an animation very easily, which then automatically adds it to the dictionary. So let's do that. You know what? I think I might be able to say service. I think it's service dot create animation 1. That's fine, right? And then what does this do? We want to get animations for ID. And then we're going to pass it in our ID. Let's see what happens. It's kind of wild because get animation for dictionary. That should work now, right? Because we're getting animation for IDs 1, so that should get into here and call this one. So I'm guessing it didn't run. There we go. And then that fixed everything. So now we have 100% coverage. So that happened just out of nowhere. So now, what do we expect? We want, I think this, okay, this returns an animation. An array. ST animation. So we want, basically we just want our animation, we'll call it animations. I don't think we'll ever be working on ST animations unit tests without knowing that we're working on ST animations, but it's still probably a good habit. ST animations dot length to equal 1. Let's do that real quick. Hope that all passes. We are at 100, right? 100. Yep, we got to 100. Let's go back and reload. 100 all the way across. This does not seem to be a problem. Just make sure that it actually ran. It looks like we are winners. Winner, chicken dinner. Let's see, it's right back there. Okay, all right, where is she? Oh, she was climbing all over the top yesterday, which was really fun. She was enjoying that, but I don't think I was on camera. I think I was playing around in my fantasy football league. All right, so we want to actually name this an STID, though, just so we know what the intention was. Const ST animation ID is equal to 1. And then we're just going to pass that in. So that's the same thing, but it just is, again, sort of more of a habit than anything else. Like, it just makes it a little bit easier to sort of maintain and come up to speed on the code. And I think we are at 100%. We are officially done with unit testing. Tomorrow I will start end-to-end testing. So let me close this one down. I'm just curious, actually, I'm very curious. I don't think any of our end-to-end tests should be broken. I think our new end-to-end test should be super easy to, again, run Cypress open. And I think our new end-to-end test should be super simple. I was thinking that there would be an end-to-end test for every entity that we delete, but really, we just want to come back and there not be any entities. So basically, what we want to do on our end-to-end test is like go to this data entities, entities, and then hit this, and then add viz, and then hit this button, hit delete, and then hit back, and then those are gone, which that was not what happened. And then we probably should also add one and see that, and go over here, because this is what caused the whole thing, and see update one. So that was the thing, is this entire rabbit hole that we spent like the last probably 4 months on all happened because when you would hit update, it would not be one. And then I realized, oh my gosh, we're not recycling any of our IDs, we're not deleting the IDs. That, I think, was going to end up being a poison pill to the whole application. And I honestly would rather have fun working on this application, having a good time, and slowly but surely moving forward. I would much rather have that than go a year and a half, build a bunch of cool things, and then find out that I'm poison pilled and I need to start from scratch again. Now I could end up doing a thing. Maybe I'm just delaying the whole thing. Maybe it's going to be 3 years now or 5 years before I realize I screwed everything up and I have to rebuild. But I'm enjoying this process the way we're doing it. It would be fun though. Like yesterday, the Derby ran, right? It would be so cool if I could find a JSON of where all the horses were at any given time and map those into something into the tool like this, and then build an animation where you could select any horse and say, what did it look like from this horse? What did it look like from that horse? And see all the other horses and everything. But it sounds like my wife is home. Finish this up, chat with her, and start my flashcards. But let's just make sure that all the unit tests, all the end-to-end tests are actually working. The first one always takes forever to run. Once you get that first one to run, though, it comes up pretty quick. Now, it's kind of funny because at work, most of our work at this point is really focused around like screen readers and things like that. And, end-to-end tests are not very useful for that, which is kind of a bummer. Okay, so that one passed. Viz passed. Viz spacing apparently passed. And see, these like keyboard, we haven't put a single thought into keyboard in months. So it would be so easy for that to get broken. All right. I think that's, oh no, it's still working. All right. Reflow. See, I didn't even thought about reflow this whole year. So had we broken the reflow functionality, we would not, there's no way we would know. Delete. Boy, delete gets a lot of work. I think delete is actually what we're going to be updating. That's going to be, we're probably just going to add one more test to delete. And it looks like we're already going to the, I'd forgotten, but yeah, we already built out the testing for going to the data thing. So now let's go back to delete, because I think this is the one. And I think if you went back and watched the last time we ran that, when you came here, they weren't all gone. So I don't think, see, this only checks to see the camera entity, but now we probably just want to tweak this and make it any entities. Make sure that there's no entities in the delete available. And that's that. And that should be probably a one-liner. I guess we should do a commit though. The unit test commit. So that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. So basically, we want to do the. I think what I usually do is I'll create a end-to-end test. I mean what's it called? Like a unit test. I mean, I'll do a commit that reads just like the last commit for this, but okay, I don't think we want that. And I did want to just reiterate that I don't really believe in unit testing that unit testing is a good idea. I do think that it's a great time to put it's a really, really good time to put to make sure, like, you have to set aside some sort of time to get down to the lowest. Oh yeah, so these I wanted to, yeah, that's right, I wanted to do one more iteration on this this task where I delete all these ThreeJS things. Okay, so I want to add this. Hey babe.
Sorry.
What did I just do? Did I just delete something? Oh, it just staged all of those. I thought yeah, that's crazy. All right, so let's come over here. Let's go ahead and kill this one. Status. And let's go to our commit. Find our last commit. Okay, so that was for video 454. What video is this one? 473. So yeah, it's been 20 videos, I think, since almost 20 almost 30 videos since. Really? No, yeah, 19 videos. So we spent 19 days on unit testing. Video 473. Now, how much code could we have written in those 19 days? Probably a lot. We probably done a ton of stuff. So I don't know. I hope this isn't implements delete for meshes. Okay, that can't. No, that can't. Okay, that doesn't look right. Okay, let's go to GitHub. And then let's go to say hello, space and time. And then let's get to our, oh no, that's not going to work either. Because I probably have not pushed, I did not push the last thing, so it's not even out there. So that's crazy. All right, so my last thing I can do is I could say git log. Let's see, okay, 467 was the last, so it's been 6 videos, which isn't nearly as bad as 19 videos. Okay, let's go to Q. You have to put the letter Q to get out of that. I don't know what that's all about, but I'm going to hit Control V, partial, and then unit test. Implements delete of various ST. Oh, silly So that was just the git commit dash m, and then we're gonna put a quote and another quote, and that is that. Okay, so tomorrow unit test. Hopefully it's just a one and done. Just tweak that one, delete end-to-end test, and then circle back around, take care of these four, deleting. Basically, we just need to add a function that deletes the object and call it. That's all we need to do. And I don't think we'll need. We may very well need some unit tests too. And we will not need any end-to-end tests. We don't have any way of viewing this. I suspect there will be around in the future where I'm going to be like, I need to see what's in these or some kind of information or something. And I don't know exactly how I want to do that. Probably, I'm guessing, I'm going to want to do like, so when we go to our data entities, right now, if we add one and you click on this, it's probably going to be something that happens in here. There'll probably be like a bigger form or something in here that lets you see what's going on in these other areas. I suspect that's going to be the play, but I'm not sure because that might be kind of crazy. I don't know. But anyways, happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.